The year was 1889, in the windswept plains of Wyoming, where winters bit hard and summers burned long. Folks in the small settlement of Dry Creek knew how to mind their own business, but even so, whispers carried fast when a stranger came to town. His name was Jacob Ellsworth, a rancher by trade, loner by choice. He'd bought himself a stretch of land 10 miles west of town and built a sturdy log cabin with his own 2 hands. He had cattle enough to keep him busy and money enough to keep him fed, but the cabin soon turned into more than just shelter. Dust gathered in corners, dishes piled up, and laundry lay untouched for weeks. Jacob didn't much care until he realized the smell and clutter kept him from resting. That's when he thought of hiring help. He rode into town one Saturday and stopped by the general store. Old Mrs. Whitley, who knew every gossip worth telling, leaned over the counter and said, "You ought to speak with Miss Clara. She's a quiet one, keeps to herself, but she'll scrub a place cleaner than you ever seen." Jacob had seen Clara before, thin, blonde hair braided down her back, eyes that never lingered too long on anyone. She took odd jobs, sewing here, washing there, and always carried herself with a quiet dignity. When Jacob asked if she'd be willing to clean his cabin once a week, she hesitated, then nodded. $1.50, she said, voice soft but steady. He agreed without haggling. The first week, she came at sunrise, basket in hand. She moved through his cabin like a shadow, scrubbing floors, beating rugs, boiling linens in a pot out back. Jacob watched her work, curious at first, then puzzled. She never wasted motion, never complained, but she also never spoke unless he asked something direct. "You work hard," he said one afternoon, trying to break the silence. "It's work that needs doing," she answered, wringing water from a cloth. When she left, the cabin shone in a way Jacob hadn't seen since the day he built it. For the first time in months, he sat by the fire without feeling the itch of disorder pressing on him. Week after week, she returned, and he began to wonder about her life. She wore the same 2 dresses, patched neatly but worn thin. Her shoes looked a size too big, stuffed with rags to fit. He figured she was poor, like many out here, but something in her guarded manner kept him from asking questions. Until one day curiosity got the better of him. It was early autumn when Clara finished her day's work and started walking home. She always declined Jacob's offer of a ride, saying she didn't mind the walk. But that evening, a restlessness stirred in him. He saddled his horse and followed at a distance. She walked steadily down the dirt road, her basket swinging lightly, until she turned onto a narrower trail leading east. The sun hung low, painting the plains in gold. Jacob kept back, not wanting to spook her, but when she reached a small cluster of weathered buildings, he stopped in his tracks. It wasn't much of a home, just a sagging log house with a crooked roof and a porch that looked ready to give way. Smoke curled faintly from the chimney, and in the yard, 5 children stood waiting. They came running when they saw her. "Ma!" cried the littlest boy, no more than 3. 2 of the girls clutched at Clara's skirt while another held her hand. The oldest, a girl maybe 12, smiled shyly but didn't run forward. Jacob's breath caught. He had thought Clara was a single woman scraping by alone. But here she was, mother to 5, carrying the weight of an entire household. She crouched low, hugging them tight, her face soft in a way Jacob had never seen. The children chattered about their day, showing her a rag doll, a chipped tin cup they'd found, a handful of late berries from the brush. She listened to each of them, patient and warm. Jacob sat frozen on his horse. The pieces fell into place, the quietness, the long walks, the patched clothes. She wasn't just working to keep herself alive. She was fighting for 5 young souls who depended on her. The next Saturday, when Clara arrived at his cabin, Jacob didn't say much at first. He watched her set down her basket, unroll her sleeves, and prepare to work as always. But before she could begin, he said, "Why didn't you tell me?" She froze, a flicker of alarm in her eyes. "Tell you what?" "About the children," he said quietly. Her face went pale, and she set the cloth down slowly. You followed me. He nodded. I did. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. Then she said, I thought if you knew, you'd think less of me. Or not hire me at all. Folks don't take kindly to a widow with mouths to feed. A widow? She swallowed hard, eyes lowered. My husband died 2 winters back. Fever. Since then, it's been just me and the little ones. I take what work I can. It's not enough, but it keeps us from starving. Jacob leaned against the table, arms crossed, weighing her words. In her voice there was no plea for pity, no complaint, just plain truth. You've done more than most could, he said at last. Her eyes lifted, searching his. Does it change things? Only in one way, he answered. Now I know who I'm paying for. From that day forward, Jacob found excuses to send food home with her, extra bread, salted pork, once even a bolt of fabric. At first she resisted, pride stiffening her back. But when she saw his sincerity, and when the children's eyes lit up at the sight of fresh apples or warm boots, she accepted. The town kept gossiping, of course. A rancher and a poor widow made easy talk. But Jacob didn't care. He'd spent years in silence, keeping to himself, and now he found himself looking forward to Clara's visits, to the sound of her voice when she finally let herself speak freely. Winter came hard that year. Snow buried fences, cattle suffered, and many in Dry Creek struggled to get by. Jacob made sure Clara and her children didn't go cold. He mended their roof, chopped their firewood, and rode through blizzards to bring flour and beans. Slowly, something unspoken grew between them, not rushed, not forced, but steady, like the building of a fire from kindling to flame. Years later, folks would say they'd always known Jacob Ellsworth would marry Clara. That it was plain as day from the moment he paid her to clean his cabin. But for Jacob, it wasn't about gossip or appearances. It was the memory of that first evening he saw her kneeling in the yard, children clinging to her, love written all over her face despite the hunger in their bellies and the holes in their shoes. That was the moment he knew. He hadn't just hired a woman to clean his cabin. He had found the family he never knew he needed.